Good morning, everyone. It's a joy to welcome you to Newman Lumen on this Thursday morning. Hard to believe we're already in the last week of February, last week of Black History Month, but a joy to welcome you to this space nonetheless. This morning, we are so lucky to get to begin our Newman Lumen time together with some familiar faces to Newman Lumen. Melanated Melodies, or M&M, Elon's premier predominantly Black a cappella group that was established in 2020. M&M serves as a space for Black student artists from all different backgrounds to connect, bond, and make music while celebrating Black excellence in every note. So please help me to welcome Melanated Melodies to Newman Lumen.
Shout out to Melanated Melodies. Thank you so much for being here. So I have the pleasure of welcoming the greatest person in my life. Abdul-Malik Harrison is an assistant director in the Center for Race, Ethnicity, and Diversity Education, who works with students of color with a focus on the Black student experience. Abdul-Malik curates programs and events to increase the feeling of belonging and community for Black students while being a constant source of support and advocacy for the community. He is a firm believer that empowering and educating the youth is the key to a more promising future for society. Abdul-Malik graduated from Elon University in 2021 with a bachelor's degree in strategic communications and a minor in political science. Please help me in welcoming the kindest, purest, and the most loving spirit that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting, and I hope that you feel the same way after today. Abdul-Malik.
Thank y'all so much, and thank you for that lovely introduction, Queen. Hello, everyone, and assalamu alaikum. Thank you. I'm glad y'all know. I'm Abdul-Malik Harrison, Assistant Director in the Creed. I am also a husband, a son, a brother, and a friend to all mankind. It is an honor and a pleasure to be invited to speak at today's Newman Lumen. First and foremost, I would love to give praise and thanks to the Most High, my beautiful queen, Sydney, loving friends and family, and my ancestors who were responsible for shaping me into the man that stands before you all today. I want to start this story where my story starts, my name. I was born to two amazing parents, Siobhan and Frank Harrison. My mother, who grew up a Christian, fell in love with the name Malik from one of her favorite actors at the time, Malik Yoba. Why did I get married? Tyler Perry? If you know, you know. If you know, you know. My father, who grew up the son of a pastor, but converted to Islam later in life, had the condition that if they were to call me Malik, there would have to be the Abdul in front of it due to his religious reasons. For most people, their names are a source of pride, familiarity, and clarity. But for me, my name was the first set of walls that were put up within my own identity. Now, don't get me wrong. Today, I love my name and what it means. In Arabic, Abdul-Malik loosely translates to servant of the king/master, or a servant king, to be more literal. But growing up, my name was a source of confusion and alienation for me. When I tell y'all everyone only called me Malik growing up, I mean everyone only called me Malik growing up. My family to this day still calls me Malik. So much so that I didn't know what my full name was until my first day of kindergarten. I remember it like it was yesterday, the teacher calling out the roll, and when she got to Abdul-Malik, I started looking around. I said, who has that funny sounding name? I rock with the Malik part, but Abdul, lo and behold, it was me. Now, growing up in a two-religion household wasn't as bad as you may think. I have memories from childhood of me celebrating Christmases and sitting with my mom bored in church. But I also remember going to Juma prayers with my dad on Fridays. I lived that existence until I was 5 years old when my parents divorced. My mom, my little sister, Anaya, and I left Maryland to move to Wake Forest, North Carolina. About twice a month, we would pile into my mom's car, jump on I-85, and take the 4.5-hour drive up to Maryland. My mom still worked as a hairdresser in D.C., and this was our main source of income. So while she worked, my sister and I would have the opportunity to spend time with our dad. Growing up, my dad was always the fun parent, so we loved spending time with him. My dad was the world to me, and I looked up to him as a kid would look up to his favorite superhero. However, life with my dad was a little different from the life that we had back in North Carolina. Like I said earlier, my dad converted to Islam later in his life. When he wanted to, he was very strict in his religious faith. So me and my sister would pray with my dad 5 times a day. Abstain from eating pork. Imagine telling little kids that they can't eat pepperoni pizza. He quickly became the unfun parent for that. But he would also indoctrinate us with the teaching of black leaders like Malcolm X and the polarizing religious group, the Fruit of Islam. He would drill us on the tenets of Islam with a healthy side of Afrocentric ideals to go along with it. So we would spend the weekend listening to his mini sermons, having to memorize Malcolm X speeches, and watch VHS tapes about the origins of Islam. But then have to go back with my mom to North Carolina to attend church on Sundays, go to Bible schools and camps, and excel in schools that were majority white spaces. It felt at times I was living a double life of sorts, seemingly trapped inside the walls of my parents' differing religious views, and seeing the world from 2 different lenses simultaneously, vacillating between an existence as Malik and Abdul-Malik. This back and forth went on for years, and I continued to look up to and learn from my father. The more I learned about Islam, the more I became intrigued with this other religion. Still wasn't a big fan about the no pepperoni pizza thing, but I was hanging in there. For me, the words my dad spoke were like gold, so I followed his lead no matter what. One weekend, we went to visit him. I think I was about 11 at this point. He told me, come on, Bink. Bink was my middle name. Not my middle name, my nickname growing up. Come on, Bink, we're going to take a field trip. We jumped in his car and wound up at a local masjid. We went inside, had some conversations, and next thing I know, I'm doing my shahada. Now, in Islam, shahada is your profession of faith and is the first of 5 pillars of Islam. Muslims bear witness to the oneness of God by reciting the creed, there is no God but God, and Muhammad, may peace be upon him, is the messenger of God. This simple yet profound statement expresses a Muslim's complete acceptance of total commitment to Islam. Lord, excuse me. So within a matter of minutes, and whether I liked it or not, I officially became a Muslim. I remember being so excited and so proud that I made my dad proud. So excited that I couldn't wait to tell my mom about it. Yeah, y'all laughing, and boy was she pissed. Yeah, not because I converted to Islam, but because my dad lovingly strong-armed me into converting. And this went against an agreement that they had before me and my sister were even born to allow us to make our own faith-based decisions. But of course, as a kid, I didn't understand those complexities, so I thought she was hating. But nonetheless, we went back to North Carolina, but this time there wasn't any confusion about it. I was Muslim. I would pray to myself at home, abstain from my mom's to-die-for bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches, which I felt like she was making more of at the time, to be petty, but I'm past that now, and brag to my closest friends that my religion was different than normal, but I loved it. I carried on with this mindset for about another year, until one day, my mom sat me and my sister down and broke the news to us that our dad had developed terminal brain cancer and only had months to live. I thank God that he allowed my father to surpass the doctor's expectations and fight against his terminal diagnosis for about a year. Unfortunately, though, in February 2012, I lost not only my father, but my one and only tie to the religion I now subscribe to. Just imagine, a little black boy walled in by the trauma of losing his father, still trying to figure out where his place in a world that tells him his skin color, his name, his religion is foreign, ignored, funny sounding, and the opposite of normal. The years after my dad died are honestly a blur for me. I find myself searching for who I was and the friends that I made, the extracurriculars that I joined, and the society that I was living in that said you had to be normal. I sought validation from others because I felt the one person who I wanted validation from the most was no longer on this earth with me. My faith in God remained strong, but my religious duties and practices fell to the wayside during these years. I had stopped praying, never celebrated Ramadan. I even started eating some pepperoni pizza again. God forgive me. I had nobody to keep me disciplined in my religion, so I ignored and hid it altogether. It even got to a point to where one day my mom sat me down and straight up asked me if I wanted to change my name to just Malik. And I'm not gonna lie, I gave it some serious thought. But even though my name was still foreign to me, I knew I had to keep it because it was the last tie I had to my father in the faith that we shared. When I arrived here at Elon in the fall of 2017, I fully intended to keep those walls up to the world and to myself, hiding the true Abdul-Malik. But over my 4 years here, life would take its time, turning each of those walls into windows. In my first year, I was able to be in spaces where my blackness wasn't watered down, but celebrated and cherished. Open up that window. In my second year, I began moving back to my spiritual core, talking to God more and swearing off pork again. Open window. In my junior year, I was able to study abroad and see how people from other cultures were proud of their heritage, proud of their religion, and treated others with kindness and humility. My study abroad experience was unfortunately cut short due to this little thing called COVID-19 pandemic. Not sure if y'all heard of it. But it was during this pandemic that I attempted to celebrate Ramadan by myself for the first time. It was hard, and it felt strange, but I stuck with it. It was also in the grips of the pandemic where I found true love. My now wife and I started dating during this time, and I felt like I finally found someone again who truly saw and accepted me for who I was in my core. In my senior year, I started going by my full name and truly accepted as mine for the first time in my life. I started to pray more. I celebrated Ramadan and loved it. It took me to my last semester at Elon, but I finally mustered up the courage to reach out to Imam Shane and have a chat with him over a cup of coffee. Now, when I say I muster up the courage, it's not because I was scared of Shane, but because I was scared of being seen as fraudulent or less of a Muslim in his eyes. But the complete opposite happened. And we had, for me at least, a soul-healing conversation. And to this day, I still look at him as my friend, my brother, and spiritual advisor. I felt like every day I was finally becoming more and more comfortable in my skin and with my own identity. Today, my religion and my story are what drive me to become a better man, a better partner, and a better human being. I am aware that my journey in finding myself is only beginning, but I am so grateful and proud of myself for how far I've come. My identity is no longer a question mark in my mind, but a period. A period because I am Abdul-Malik, period. I am a black Muslim man, period. I am kind, thoughtful, sensitive, confident, intelligent, period. I am loved and supported by those who I choose to have in my life, period. I am a change maker, period. I want to leave you all today with the word that I received from Juma's sermon last week. Comparison is often the thief of joy. Comparison robbed me of my sense of self growing up. Comparison stole the joy I deserve to have within myself. I stand here before you all today, Allah is my witness, that I will never again be robbed of who I am. I stand 10 toes down in what I believe in and am unapologetic to who I am at my core. I plead with you all to never compare yourself or your experiences to normal people, because there's no such thing. Refrain from being quick to confine your identity within the walls of fear or doubt. Instead, I encourage you all to open up those windows, take a deep breath, and enjoy the fresh air that living in your truth brings with it. Thank you all, and may Allah bless you all. Thank you.
This is how we do it. La, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. This is how we do it. It's Friday night, and I feel alright. The party's here on the west side, so I reach for my phone and I know there's a lady driving taking keys to my truck. Hit the shores and South Texas, honey's on the streets and running. It feels so good tonight. The summertime skirts and the guys at the car. Now the young ladies forgot about the drive-by. You gotta get your grooves on before you go get paid. So tip up your cup and blow your hand up and let me hear the party say. Boys, it's all because South Central does it like nobody does. To all the niggas, you got much to learn. Let's do the track ready on speed. This is how we do it. Your hands are in the air, so wave us on into there. If you're an old cheap guy, don't wanna be later.